So I am headed over to where my truck's in the shop. It's a 105-mile ride from my house. I drove over yesterday evening, and the friend that has helping me and let me use the shop to do this is on call 24 hours. So last night, as soon as we got in and we got ready to start doing a job, he got a call and he had to leave, and I didn't realize it, but we only had access to a press until a certain time, and by the time he got back, I had everything cleaned up and ready to go back together, but we didn't have access to the press to press the bearings on. So I'm headed back over now. We'll get the bearings pressed on, or he'll have the bearings pressed on his way home from work. We'll get this thing stuck back together. So I do apologize, I didn't get any video of the tear down and replacement procedure. This is the bearing that went bad, the outer is what I'm going to call it, pinion bearing. I've never seen a race chewed up like that. Not really sure what the cause of that was, but I'm thinking it just wasn't hardened correctly. This is the box of parts, about $750 for a few bearings and a seal, and these are your side carrier bearings. I'm hoping if you guys are looking for these parts, you can pause the video and blow this up. I believe that's the inner pinion bearing, outer pinion bearing, the pinion seal, and if I'm correct, the crush sleeve. It will be right here. Now, if you Google these part numbers and the seal and the crush sleeve, I mean, those are the bags that I took the parts out of. It's just been a minute. Now, this is the spec sheet that we went by to put it all back together, to set the backlash, to set the preload and all that. So that's what we went by on there, and I'm hoping you guys can screenshot this if it'll help you out at all. So I am back here in Indiana, right here in Elkhart right now, but headed over to Goshen. There is a friend of mine that is been waiting for about a week on me. Before my rear end had issues, I told him I'd come up and check his truck out, and he has a truck just like mine, 1-ton dually, that I've had so much going on, I don't recall exactly what was going on with it, but I'm gonna put it on the scanner, the AUTEL, and see what I can find. Maybe I can figure something out to help him out. I do remember it does have reduced power. Then I have another friend that's waiting on me at the office with another 19 1-ton dually like mine that is pretty much having the same issue, random misfire and the same thing. And now I know in my last video I kind of made a big deal about don't go off and have major work done on your truck, and don't go off, have major work done on your truck, take a load out to the middle of nowhere. But my plan was to run a Florida or something short, make sure everything's going to do okay. I did drive it. Let's see, I've got 900 miles on it since I did the rear end, the pinion bearing, so I feel pretty confident in it. There's no leaks. It's quiet as a mouse. It's like driving a new truck all over again. Between the tires being as quiet as they are. I know we can hear it right here on this road because this road is grooved and everything makes a lot of noise coming down through here. But anyway, I have two buddies that are headed out to Reno, and I went ahead and took a load going to Reno. That's against my better judgment and what I would advise anybody else to do after just having major work done, but it is what it is. So I went by the one guy's place and his batteries were dead. So we got him jumped off and did a force regen and cleared the codes, did the force regen, and everything seems to be okay on his truck. We took it for about a 15-20 minute test ride and nothing came back. And he had a sensor go bad. He replaced the sensor and then it wouldn't regen. So we did that, and we'll see how that works out for him. The other truck that we were looking at has kind of thrown me for a loop. It has a code in it that the transmission 6-gear ratio is incorrect, and then if you drive it a little bit, it will act up. It acts like it gets come between gears, and it may say 5th gear ratio is incorrect. So that's a new one on me. I'm still kind of looking into that one. That driver got a Driveaway and they're going to go out close to where we're going, and we're going to pick them up and bring them back, and then we'll look at the truck again some more. But like I say, I'm kind of at a loss on that at the moment. I feel like it had a misfire code. I feel like the engine was misfiring and just beat the transmission plumb to death, and that's what started this other issue. I do not personally think the transmission is bad, because I just drove it and it went through all the gears fine multiple times, and then, like I say, on a whim it would just rev up, and then you let off the accelerator and it would go back into gear and it would pull strong again. So I don't feel like, to me, the clutches are bad or anything like that. I'm just really not sure what's going on with it. So they're getting in their Driveaway unit that they're going to be taking, and I don't know anything about the Driveaway side of things. If anybody thinking about asking, I may learn some on this trip from them, but I don't know. But me and 2 other guys are over here about to pull in the Middlebury and get loaded up, and we're headed to Reno, and the other driver is headed into California, just barely into California, so they'll be right at 90 miles from me whenever we get empty, and we'll rearrange some stuff and try to get it together where to work out for everybody, where we'll all 4 actually make a little money, instead of, because I had the rear end go down. Everybody's been in the shop lately. I don't know. Anyway, we'll get in here and get hooked up. Gentleman right here, his trailer's froze in the ground. Alright, y'all see this is a solid sheet of glass? Them things are awesome. You can bet when I find mine, it's going to be behind one of these other right here. This is, I hate when they get so stacked up. They're all like this, because then I'll have to walk both rows till I find mine, and then move this out of the way. Yeah, that was crazy. That gentleman was just froze up. But for a big old 1-ton dealer like that, pulling like that, and actually pull one out, that I mean, the rubber seemed to me to just be froze to the ground. All the axles are spinning. That's hard on an old truck, rocking and grabbing like that. Been riding around for a while looking, and I do believe this is us right here. Compared to what I normally pull, that is a very short trailer. But I am on rocks. I'm not going to have to deal with digging it and pulling it up out the ice. I'm looking for 9435, which is on the big plastic nose cap right there, which I don't normally ever get. That is right in the way for me to pull it out, so I'm not sure how I'm going to work that yet. I may hook to that one and drag it on down, just so it doesn't interfere with this one, but we'll see. So luckily for me, I didn't have to move the other trailer. This trailer being so short, it just wiggled right out. Had plenty of room on both sides, and just took it slow and easy. Everything went good. Unlike backing up to my 5th wheel, I had to pull up and get another bite on it, but it happens, you know. Just, I don't even expect to get it right all the time. It's just nice when you do back up and hit it just right. But as far as hooking mine up and getting it ready to go, everything went off just smooth as silk as far as that part goes. These legs right here, I'm pretty sure you may have heard me say it in past videos, I don't really care for them. I like the ones that go all the way up, but just make sure those pins go all the way in and lock those legs in. You don't want that falling down while you're running down the road. Be real careful with these when you pull them out, because they'll break right off in your hand when it's cold. Grab the outside edge, barely pull it out, all just what you have to have. past that. So I got that's the first one I've ever pulled with a big plastic cover on the front, but I went ahead and aired my airbags up, which is still manually, and I don't like it, but it is what it is. Like I say, on this truck, if I bring it up to the spring pack barely comes off of the overload spring, just to where you can see a gap in it. That's usually good, and I always leave enough room so I can let it down versus having to air it back up. I'd rather go a little bit too much and a little bit too less so I don't have to drag the air hose out again. I walk around, check for damages, torque my lug nuts, kick my tires, and this unit looks pretty good, and it also looks a lot smaller than what I'm used to pulling. So I'm glad I wasn't on ice like the rest of these guys I've been seeing. Yeah, so we're ready to go. I can get my logbook done and find these other guys, and we'll be on our way. And these things right here, just that quick, they're off my feet and I just kick them back right there. And they have come in super handy today. I know my camera looks a little jacked up right here, but and I don't have my microphones hooked up because my battery went dead, and that's where I plug my microphones in. But I was about to pull around and get headed down the line. I was finishing up my logbook, and Mr. Tennessee called, and he got on a slick situation. So I'm gonna try to see if we can nose up nose to nose and help him get off the ice like the gentleman was earlier. These trailers freeze in the ground, and that's why, you know, a lot of guys, they say you gotta have four-wheel drive, and a lot of guys say, well, I don't need four-wheel drive. And you don't have to have four-wheel drive, but when you're trying to get these campers loose from being stuck, it sure does help. But sometimes I feel like he could probably get this camper out. I don't really have a doubt in my mind he'd get this camper out. But the reason we're gonna do what we're doing right here, right now, you get to slide around this ice, and you don't want to slide one camper into another. That's the thing. So if you got help, use help. Don't try to overdo it. So I'm gonna pull up, and I'm gonna tie to the driver's side tow hook on my side, on my truck, to the driver's side tow hook on his truck. That way I'm pulling him in more of a line. But this is a tricky situation, because when I go to back up, I've definitely got to watch what I'm backing up. You know, I can't back into anything. So this will be on his channel as well, and my battery's dead. So if you want to see the hookup or anything like that, check out his. I'm going to leave a link to these soft shackles in the description. It makes getting to the tow hooks on these late model trucks easy, and you're not going to scratch up anything like a chain would. I love these things. So I'm putting it in 4 low. I told him to put just a little bit of pressure against it so that he would be helping me out, but I do not want him spinning. We got hooked up last night, made it to the Iowa 80. Just went in, got breakfast. Everything's still looking really good on my unit. It is freaking cold here. About to get fueled up and get ready to go. This is one of our cheaper fuel stops, but while you guys have been asking about the new truck, my buddy's new truck that he bought, the 22 Ram, and he's sitting in the truck. He don't know I'm recording, so we changed his fuel tank over. This is the one out of the old truck, the 16 Ram, the 5th wheel. He had Dealy Depot put the plates in for him, and we put his toolbox in, and it's a good looking truck. She's dirty right now, but definitely a nice truck. that's him. That's the guy that has the other truck.
What now?
That's what somebody look like when they got so much money when they had truck trouble. They just go off and they don't even worry about it. They just buy another truck.
That's the only way to do it.
Yeah, I was gonna. It does have the big screen and stuff in it, and I normally wouldn't just shove the camera in somebody's truck and start recording, but it's cold and I know you guys wanted to see it. I don't think he minds, so.
I don't at all.
There we go. So, yeah, pretty clean ride. But we're about to get out of here. See how far we make it today. We're in no rush whatsoever because we're going to Reno, deliver on Monday. It's Saturday. We got plenty of time, I think. We may deliver on Tuesday. I'm not sure. Either way, we're not in a hurry. We're just hoping we don't get caught up in any kind of weather. We did change his mud flap over. All the mud flaps off the old truck. I thought they turned out pretty good. They weren't bad at all as far as getting everything put on. The worst part is on the Dodge. If you're going to put the fuel tank in, you have to cut a metal pipe down there to put the adapter in. It's kind of a pain in the butt, but it didn't, we haven't had any leaks or anything like that. But I wished I could have got a video on that, but it just didn't work for us. Hell, it was raining and weather wasn't cooperating, so we didn't get to do that. Here's his
inside is the part I like right here, where the seats all fold down right here.
Yeah.
This folds up. It's got the.
Yeah, that's awesome. Your other truck had that too, didn't it?
Yep. That way the bed flattens out.
Yep. And then just scoot the seats forward at night and put that little bit of stuff, his bag and his jacket stuff up front. Put your shades in, and this is where his seats folded up. My seats lay down all the time, so yep. Anybody wondering what the Driveaway stuff looks like? This is a non-CDL Driveaway. Put your signs up in the window. Can't really see them, but they're in there. And this is a Jayco Red Hawk. Come back, put your tag on it just like normal. Check it out just like normal. This one here is going to Grass Valley, California. I know it is not pulling the hills too awful very good. It's knocking them way down in the hills and stuff. But, and I don't know, I've never checked one of these things out, but I do know from a buyer standpoint, if I got in and I saw all those connectors right there and the radio not having a bezel on it and just flopping around the dash, I wouldn't like that. But the driver contacted and they said it was okay, so it is what it is. But I mean, it's not a bad ride. What they're saying, it's a gas guzzling hog, but it's I think it says getting roomy inside too. And to the best of my understanding, you can sleep in the Driveaways, because you kind of don't have a choice unless you're gonna get a hotel every night. So it's paying right at $1,700 for 2,000 miles. But doing it this way, you don't have to worry about breaking down. If it breaks down, that's their baby, You do have to check it out really good and make sure nothing happens to it while it's in your care. But, I mean, if you didn't have a truck, it'd be a decent option. The only problem is coming back. Now, I know a lot of husband and wives do this, and I know a couple of brothers that do it. And one of them drives and one of them pulls the camper and the other one goes wherever and picks them up, and they get loads together going the same places. And that's what we're doing here. I'm going to pick them up and bring them back to Indiana. So if you could do that every time, I could see where you might come out pretty good. I'm expecting, from what they've been telling me about their fuel mileage and stuff, that they're going to wind up spending probably about $700 to $800 of that $1,700 in fuel. But if it wasn't for the trip back, that's $1,000 a week with no obligations, no truck payment, no maintenance, no insurance, none of that stuff. So, but that's about all I know about the Driveaway. I just kind of wanted to show you guys around, and like I say, it is a pretty big unit. Now, even though you could sleep in here, as far as I know, If you can't and you're in Driveaway, you know, leave it in the comments so teach everybody else. But you still don't want to run the slide out saying that. You don't want to touch any button on this thing that you don't have to, because if it breaks, you know, you don't want to be liable. So I am coming up on Mill City, Nevada. That's where I'm going to stay for the night, because we can't deliver until in the morning. They only received until 3. I wasn't going to get there till 4, and after I found that out, I just started dragging my feet a little bit, trying to recoup some on the fuel mileage. But one thing I did want to address, it's something I've been thinking about. It's not been bothering me, it's just something I've been thinking about. If you guys are watching these videos thinking about getting into this, I'm hearing a lot of people going through orientation, and people are sending messages, which is fine, on Instagram and email and all that stuff. And I do not want to steer anybody wrong. I'm hoping I come across showing the goods and bads of this job, that I'm not making it out to look better than what it is. I mean, I'm as transparent as I can be on the money. I'm as transparent as I can be on the job itself. You know, I show flat tires, I show whatever happens that I think you guys find interesting. I try to get it on the camera, but there's a lot that I do not get on the camera because I don't have it right there at all times. And when something's happening, I've always been the type of person, I just want to jump in and fix it. So I'm having to adjust to want to grab the camera, get it set up, and explain to you guys how I'm fixing it. That takes, there's times that can take a lot more time. So, but for the most part, I get as much of it as I can on camera. And I do not want to mislead anyone. And one thing that I'm noticing, that I've always noticed, any kind of trucking industry that you're going into, is the main reason for rollover and people quitting this industry is the lifestyle. This is not a career change or a job change. It is a total lifestyle change. In my book, that's my opinion of it. Because if you're used to being home every day and you start being on the road every day, that's going to be like shock, you know. And to me, it's the other way around. When I go home, a lot of people don't know how to be on the road all the time. I don't know how to be at home all the time. First night I get home, I don't normally sleep because the bed's not running. And I do leave my truck running every night, pretty much. I mean, if it's perfect sleeping conditions, I will cut it off. But I don't like waking up to dead batteries. I don't like sleeping when I'm hot. I don't like sleeping when I'm cold. I've got to be comfortable when I sleep. And everybody says, oh, don't do that. That'll kill your emissions. I would never tell you guys to idle your truck all night, every night, like I do. But the truck's got over 10,000 hours on it, and I've not replaced an emissions part yet, except for NOx sensors and a DEF injector that I can think of. So, it is what it is. I know it's not good for it, I know all that stuff, but every 18-wheeler I've ever had is idled when I'm gone. I'll cut it off when I go in to get something to eat, especially this truck. This truck is picky. It likes to reboot like a phone does. So if I leave it running, if I drive it all day and let it run all night, when I wake up the next morning, everything's glitchy. Nothing wants to work right. So I have to shut it off for about 10 minutes and let everything reboot, and then it does fine. But yeah, I just kind of got the weighing on me with a lot of people asking me questions, and I just want, you know, when you get up there like Mr. Tennessee, my buddy, the trailer that was in ice, you saw the other truck right before that in this video here. You know, he got his trailer out. I believe Mr. Tennessee could have got his trailer out. But did y'all hear how rough that was on that dually, trying to shake that trailer loose? And I offered to hook to him and pull him forward, but he said, well, let me try it a couple more times. If it don't come loose, you know, we'll do that. But it came on loose for him, and we didn't get a chance to. But if I hook to a trailer and it's froze in like that, first thing I'm gonna look is make sure it's not over the axles and going through the tires. As long as it's just barely up on the tires to where the tires are frozen to the ground, I'll rock it and try to break that loose. If it's up through the wheels, I will probably not mess with it. That's probably when I'm gonna call them back and give it back to them, because there's nothing I can do with that. I'm not gonna tear the axles. I mean, if I'm sitting here on ice also slipping and spinning around, I'm not pulling as hard on the axles as you would be if you were sitting on asphalt trying to pull it out of something. But that ice will freeze those axles in as cold as it gets up there. I believe you could literally pull an axle out from under a trailer. So if you move your trailer and you see the wheels rolling back and forth, it's just stuck, it's like chalked in, then I feel like it's okay to pull against someone or have someone pull against me. But if those wheels are froze solid into the ground, I'm not going to pull on someone. I'm not going to be responsible for pulling the axles out from under the trailer or breaking something or tearing something up. So we did not stay at Mill City last night. We pulled in there and parked, went inside. Everything, they're doing remodeling. They had no food. The Taco Bell was closed. The bathrooms were closed. The showers didn't work. None of that stuff. So we were only 2 hours from Sparks, Nevada. We decided to come on over here. If you've never been to the Petro in Sparks, Nevada, it's one of my favorite places out here as far as places to stop. They have the casino, the Alamo Casino. They got all kind of stuff. They got a hotel here in the parking lot. They have, I think they have a dentist office. I think I saw that, or a chiropractor or something. They've got all kind of stuff in there. Now, I walked in. I went in before they got in there, and I sat down at the bar and I was playing Keno, waiting on them to get there. And you can order your food from the Iron Skillet restaurant. They'll bring it to you at the bar in the casino. I like it. So they had just brought my food out and set it down when the other guy showed up. So I just grabbed my food and stuff and I went and sat with them. And I had left my ticket in the machine. A few minutes later, I wasn't even thinking nothing about it. I hadn't had a drink or nothing. I wasn't thinking about it. The bartender walks up and asks me, was I missing something in my life? And I said, well, you put it that way. I know I'm missing a lot in my life, but I'm sure you got something specific on your mind. And she handed me my ticket for my money that I put in that machine. And I thought that was awesome. She could have cashed that in. The guy that sat down at the machine after me could have cashed that in. Like I said, it's just a really, really good group of people in there. And yes, she got a really good tip. After we ate, we moved back to the bar because there was 4 spots opened up side by side. And I don't normally drink until I do, so it takes me just 1 or 2 drinks and I'm where anybody else normally would be after 7 or 8 drinks probably. So if you got a phone call or text message last night, like I say, this is Tuesday, March 1st, yeah, I'm sorry about that. The concept of time left my mind as soon as I had even smelt that first drink. So I just kind of wanted to throw that in there. But so anyway, we're gonna go on down here and get unloaded at 9 o'clock. It's 7 o'clock now. I've been up since 4:30. I done went in and took my shower and got my oil, checked oil and checked the trailer out and kind of did my pre-trip. And if I can find this right here, it's something that I may have already touched on it earlier in this video. I don't think that I have. This load paid $35.46.40. It was $1.76 a mile for 2015 miles. The fuel, I figured it up yesterday. The fuel had cost me like $12.80. Now that I'm full, I have a full tank in the truck and a full tank in the auxiliary tank. $12.80. That will get me a long way back across the country. I'm not sure if it'll get me to Grand Island or not, but it should. If it does, by the time I get to Grand Island, I should be taking that fuel out of my next load, I hope. But I do have to run 200 miles or 100 miles over to pick up the other driver, 100 miles back to this point, and then we can start headed back. But the fuel is really cutting into stuff right now. That's something I want to touch on. If you're just now looking at thinking about starting out, that's one thing I don't ever want to bring politics on this channel. I don't want it myself personally. I don't want it anywhere around the channel, and I know where I stand and how I feel about stuff. I'm not afraid to say how I feel about stuff, but if you guys are watching my videos, politics are shoved down our throat every which way we look, from every billboard we see to anything that you look at. I don't, that's not what I want to talk about. But me saying that, you have to be aware of what's going on in the world. And you base that, don't let anybody else, me or anybody else, tell you how to feel about that. you watch what's going on in the world and you think to yourself, how is that going to affect other things? Well, I don't recall a situation like what we're in right now with COVID, part shortages, supply shortages. You know, they can only get one set of tires for my truck. You know, after I pulled the Toyos off, that's the only tire that I called multiple places, and they either couldn't get anything, they could get some kind of off the wall stuff that I didn't want to put on there. But as far as a name brand tire, they could only get the Michelins. So the knock sensor that I had to order, it took 3 weeks to track one down. To me, there's just no call for this stuff. I know someone who had a rear end go down a 19 Dodge. The ring and pinion was cracked. It took like, I think they were down like 6 weeks looking for the part, looking for it, you know? So I'm not saying don't do this because we're in hard times and there's no money and nothing like that. I'm saying at any time, my personal opinion, it doesn't matter what you're doing. These are just uncertain times. Now, my experience in trucking with the stuff I have been through in trucking tells me that the fuel is going to go up, it's going to ramp up, and the rates are going to trickle up behind the fuel. As soon as the rates drop just a little bit, or the fuel drops just a little bit, the rates will drop. You know, the rates have a hard time keeping up with the fuel, and it takes a while. They say that there's people that evaluate all this stuff, and with each company, that, you know, when the fuel comes up, it takes a while. They got to communicate with the companies and say, hey, fuel's going up, we're going to have to come up on our prices. And if everybody hasn't already started coming up, they'll say, well, we can't pay that, we'll have to keep it where it's at. Anyway, they try to negotiate it up, and by the time they get negotiated up, usually the fuel price is already starting to come back down. So here we are at Spread's RV. Young lady's inside checking the trailer out now. Everything looked good except for this is a extremely tight facility. See Mr. Tennessee and the other guy over there. And we should have spaced it out and came in one at a time, but we didn't know, but we know now. Yeah, there's just not a lot of room here, but they told me drop it right here in at the dead end street, and they'll pull it in, and I don't know what they're gonna do with them over there. So I made it on over into California, picked up the other driver, and now we're headed back across. I'm gonna go ahead and end this video right here. I know this video was kind of all over the place, but there's been a lot going on. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. If you're still watching, like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.